There are times that we want to include optional parameters in our routes. So here's an example. On the followers page, here we have two parameters passed as part of query string. So we have page and order. So these are optional parameters because they are not required for this page to load. So let me show you how to add optional parameters to your routes. Here in navbar component.html, this is where we render the link to the followers page. So here, this router link directive exports a property that we can use in our property binding expression. So we bind query params property to an object. Let me put this on a new line. In this object, we can add all the optional parameters. Like page, we set this to 1, and order to newest. And of course, the value of these keys can be dynamic, so we don't have to hard code them here. Now let's go back to the browser. So I'm going to go to the home page, refresh the page, click the followers, and now we have these two parameters passed in the query string. So this is the sending part. But what about receiving these parameters? Let's go to the followers component. So GitHub followers.ts. So in this component, first we need to inject the activated route service. So private route of type activated route. And then in ng-on-init, we can get these optional parameters very similar to how we got the required parameters. So to get the required parameters, we use this .route.param map. And as you know, this is an observable, so we can either subscribe to this, or we can use the snapshot if we don't have a scenario where the user can navigate back to the same component. So then we use this .route.snapshot.param map. And here we can call the get method to get the value of a parameter. So this is for getting the required parameters. Getting the query parameters is very similar, but instead of using the param map property, we use the query param map property. So this .route.query param map, again, this is an observable that we can subscribe to. We can also use it as part of our snapshot. So this .route.snapshot.query param map.get, let's say the page number, like this. Now in a scenario where you're passing the page numbers and their sort order, it is very likely that the user is going to get back to the same component. So somewhere on this page, we're going to have a pagination component with the page numbers. So when the user clicks on a page number, they're going to stay on the same page, but the route parameters are going to change. So that means in most cases, you will have to subscribe to this observable. So let me delete these two lines where we work with the snapshot object. Now here's a question you might have. How can we subscribe to both these observables? Let's say we want to load all the followers in the first page. Now currently, we're getting these followers from our service outside our subscription. But in a more realistic implementation, our code is going to look like this. Let's say we have some required parameters here. So we need to subscribe to them. Params goes to, here's a code block. And also we need to get the query parameters, like this. Now here's the question. How can we get both the required and optional query parameters and then call the server to get the list of followers? Well, that's what I'm going to show you in the next lecture.